Well, this was definitely one of those things I wish I hadn't done. The screws holding it on were irrelevant compared to this, whatever this ungodly stuff is that's holding us on here. And welcome back to the shed, where we have to catch up with Pome's annual maintenance. And well, if you tuned in a couple of weeks ago when I pointed out that there's lots to do, the bulk of it is this foredeck, which I really let go. I never really dealt with it properly, and now I'm reefing all the cotton out of the deck and the rubber paint that's, or sealant that's on over that. This is full dimensional planking. In other words, there's nothing underneath it. There's no plywood or anything. So it's thick, about an inch and a bit. So it's caulked with cotton, just like a plank on the bottom of the boat. So it's a bit of work to reef it all out, but it's going to make a big difference, and I'm going to be able to get this foredeck completely watertight. That's the plan anyway, so that the forecastle can be an effective interior space this winter, because it wasn't last winter. Okay, so this is killing me, but I believe if I'm going to do a decent job of recaulking this deck, I have to remove this quarter round, or slightly more than quarter because of the angle it's on. So I'm going to try a little heat and a little very careful prying, and hopefully I can take it off intact. Now, to be fair, it's not in perfect condition because when this vent was put in here, it was kind of hacked into it here. So it's quite possible I'll just replace it. I'll certainly be replacing it if I destroy it on the way out. Anyway, let's see what we can do. Well, this was definitely one of those things I wish I hadn't done. It was bedded in a very heavy bedding of sealant, adhesive, not just sealant, which makes it completely permanently on there, and the wood just shredded apart, getting it apart. The cutting the bungs trick worked just fine, except the screws holding it on were irrelevant compared to this whatever this ungodly stuff is that's holding us on here. Oh. Alright then, we've had our fun, haven't we? Time to get back to work and see what we can do with this super cool laser engraver from Creality. Oh yeah, I forgot, I gotta put it together. That's part of the fun, is it not? This is actually very nicely made.
Really?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. So,
I'm jumping ahead. I think I know what to do here.
No.
Come on, I'm jumping ahead.
No.
Laser module.
Wait, hold on. Don't get too excited.
Come on.
No. I just want to look at it.
Okay, folks, this is the no fooling around version of the laser, which says air, fire. Okay, let's go. We haven't turned on yet?
No.
Alright then, so a little bit of figuring out how to send a drawing to the laser engraver, and that's going to be done via my PC and software called Lightburn. Now, there are many softwares you could use to do this. Lightburn seems to be one of the standards, and in fact it had the huge advantage that all the configuration files came on a little thumb drive with the Creality Engraver. Alright, so let's turn this on. It is a bit noisy, but I need it to get the camera and the lighting working properly. We can get a preview of the camera here, and to put the image in the workspace, we simply click on Update Overlay, and there it is in the workspace. So now I'm going to import the file that I want to scan. There we go. And close the lid. And start. Open it up. All right then. Well, again, I'm not quite certain this was the right wood because, of course, it's quite dark. The engraving is dark as well as the wood is dark. However, it did cut quite nicely. Anyway, that's my next beer coaster. And on to the main event. My principal interest in this laser engraver was so that I could finally etch the plaque of gratitude for all of those who helped support the new engine for Geordie way back when. And I've been trying to get this etched, laser etched, machine etched, whatever, one way or another since then. I didn't even know I still had this thing. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is just etch one or two words, like maybe just this MV Geordie new engine supporters bit up at the top. And I can see I am on top of the piece of brass, okay. And we'll see if we can't etch this. Let's have a look at what that looked like. It is basically imperceptible. It's not even there. So basically what I need is more power. More power, Peter. Let's have a look. Well, I cannot see even the slightest amount of etching on there. Not even a little bit. Well, after a couple of days of experimentation and a couple of days of research, I have concluded that this particular laser is not able to do adequate engraving on brass. If I set you up just right, you can maybe barely see my name right there, which was the most successful engraving I was able to do on here, and that involved using an outline font, 2 passes, 2 millimeters per minute, full power. Well, to do the hundreds of names on this plaque would have taken weeks. And still that's the quality I would have had. So I am actually a bit disappointed in that. However, it is a lovely machine. Otherwise, I'm going to find lots of stuff for it to do. But I am still presented with the problem of how to finally machine this plaque. I did, however, make a little house, which I think is just adorable. Anyway, to see how I made that and for my actual thoughts on this, I've done a completely separate video that is strictly about the Creality laser engraver, and there'll be a link to that maybe up above somewhere or certainly down in the description. Okay, the forehatch here is a perfect example of not having enough varnish on here. I think there might only be 3 coats of varnish on here. And on a flat surface like this, the sun just completely destroys the varnish and it makes lots of little cracks, and it's done. This has to be completely refinished. So this is the year. I've said this before. Those of you who, like me, think, oh my gosh, that looks great after 3 or 4 coats. That's bound to be enough. Well, it just isn't. The people who really know insist on 10 or 12 coats of varnish. And I don't know if I'll get that this year, but I'm gonna have to do way better than 4. Butyl tape does a fantastic job. Isn't this a beautiful little bronze light vent? My gosh, that's delightful. Lovely. This is a good point to talk about reefing. Now, I made this little reefing tool and it's actually worked really, really well for me. It's some sort of gardening weeding tool. I've seen assorted reefing tools that actually work very much like this or are driven, and then they drive down into the bottom of the seam. Oh, I hate to see that, because the bottom of that seam is coming to a nice tidy V to hold the cotton nice and tight. And if you drive with either with a hammer or even just with this leverage down near the bottom of the seam, you'll blow it out to the inside and it won't hold cotton properly. These old boats only have so many cycles of reefing and recaulking in them. So let's try to be as sensitive to the wood every time we do it. So the way this one works, obviously it has a little hook here that's nice and sharp to grab the cotton, but it also has a little notch in here. And that little notch sits against a little piece of wood, as you've seen. And then I can easily just leverage the old cotton and paying out, sometimes with a little extra heat. In this case, it doesn't really seem to need it. And I've actually caused no distress to the bottom of the seam. Okay, now I'm going to clean the seam with the Teak Deck Systems reefing iron, and in fact, or reefing hook. In fact, this is quite a nice tool because it's very, very sharp on the sides, and it really cleans up the sides of the seam, pulling off any remaining sealant or other junk. And then sanding to get a nice, fresh surface of wood for the new sealant to stick to. And my first tool. All right, let's put some cotton in here. This mallet and caulking iron was a gift from one of you kind folks. Thank you ever so much. I have not had many chances to use it yet. So this is a rather wide seam, so I'm going to, I don't know what this is called, but I'm going to bunch up the cotton. See how I grab another layer and pull it up in? All right, that's ready for paying. This might be a bit excessive for such a small area to bother taping it, but it might keep it a little tidier in the sanding. I probably won't be doing this on the main decks because it would represent an awful lot of taping. I'm putting this sealant in before I actually sand the old varnish off, because why sand twice? I'm going to seal the deck with SAS 440 from Teak Deck 6 Systems. This, I believe, is an amazing product. I have no idea what it is. Some people say it's silicone. I don't believe it is because it is moisture cured, or it says so on the website, but it doesn't actually mention urethane there anyway. If you've been watching along, you know we did all the Teak decks on MV Zephyrs a couple of years ago, and they are just holding out perfectly. It's very easy to work with. It's very easy to tool. It's just great stuff. What it is expensive. The instructions say to wipe down the seams with acetone before beginning. I believe that is to take any oils temporarily off the surface of teak. And I believe this is mahogany, but still, I'm just going to follow the instructions to the letter because it worked for me before. I hope it will work again. Opening up the end of the sealant is as simple as cutting off this little staple. And when I say as simple as, well, it's relatively simple. You just take a couple of nicks in different directions and you won't get, it's too messy. There we go. A new nozzle. And we're off to the races. It's quite a large seam, so I'm going to make quite a large nozzle cut here. And I cut straight-ish. Okay. A little off the end so I can run it down in there. And then pack it right down in. It has a distinctive smell that doesn't smell like any other product I'm used to, so that's why I wonder if it's something particularly interesting. Okay. Okay, I could fuss with this all day. This is going to be just fine. And before it cures, I'll remove the tape. All right, so all this is nice and cured now. Let's get this cleaned up and get some new stain on here. Alright, and some of my favorite red mahogany gel stain, which is of course what I've stained the whole boat with. Now, I'm not restoring the inside right now because that'll go along with when I restore the inside of the forecastle. And that's a pretty major job for over this winter. And when I say pretty major, I mean pretty major. Oh, get out. Okay, and it's time to take it back off. Oh, there's that beautiful color I love. Hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie Beer of the Week, coming to you this week from the very cozy cockpit of MV Poem here in the shed in
Genoa Bay.
In Genoa Bay. I've done this.
Long day.
I've done this before. Really, I have. Could we just get straight to the beer?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what do we have here?
So we have something from Sea Pine Brewing in Seattle, Washington, and it's called Rainbow Suspenders. So it's a 8.7%.
Oh my gosh, we're not getting much more work done.
Double IPA.
Now this is also a gift from the very kind Leroy and Michelle, who we met down there and gave us a schwack of beer. Anyway, you're gonna pour?
I'm gonna pour.
Fabulous. We're overwhelmed. We're completely flabbergasted. We are so grateful. An absolute schwack of new support has come in the last week, and it's certainly not what we intended, sharing our thoughts and what was going on with you all, but at the same time, wow, that is just wonderful. To keep it from being utterly embarrassing, we're going to spread these across 2 beers of the week. But anyway, cheers to the beer. Again, what is it again?
Rainbow suspenders.
Rainbow suspenders. Cheers. Cheers. Leroy, Michelle, and almost all of you are looking at your face saying, yeah, that's not really your sort of beer.
It's good for it, what it is. And
yeah.
You will really enjoy mine.
Love it. That's exactly. Maybe I can make you a deal on the rest of your beer.
Yeah.
That would be really fun. Anyway, we got to jump right in because we have lots to do. Who is the winner of last week's, or whenever it was last week's Beer of the Week t-shirt giveaway?
So, t-shirt winner this week is Daniela Lawson. Daniela, we hope everything's okay with Francine coming your way. I hope everything's back to normal or somewhat back to normal. So,
fabulous.
We're thinking about you.
Cheers.
Enjoy. Cheers.
Congratulations. To claim that shirt, send us off an email at swag@travelswithgeordie.com, and we'll make sure it goes your way. All right. Can you dig into these? These are all new Patreons that came aboard in the last week.
Yeah. So Leroy Radford.
And Leroy is Leroy.
Oh, man.
And I just figured it out, Leroy and Michelle. Michelle was a new Patreon last week. So you folks are overly generous.
Yeah.
Overly generous.
Nigel Ballard. Thanks, Nigel. John Myatt. Carrie Greenfield. Jeffrey Jenkins. Larry Aglanda.
Thank you ever so much.
Thank you so much.
For all of you coming aboard. We're so very, very grateful. On top of that, and I didn't give you a heads up where the list changes here, some new support on PayPal. And again, very, very grateful to
Carl Kiono. Sorry, it's a Kgono.
Yes.
So, Carl, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bard Lindberg.
Thank you
so much.
Ever so much, and cheers to you all. Wow. Well, with that, it is just so heartwarming and humbling, the support and the beautiful comments that have come in the last week. Just so nice. It's been a lovely way to reintegrate into getting going on the show, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. We enjoyed putting it together, and hopefully this is where I cut that out.
Okay.
That bit gets lost on the cutting room floor. It's because I glanced down and I have not yet written the word of the week.
We don't have a word of the week.
We don't have the word of the week because I would love to use gratitude, but I've used it 1,000 times. Humble.
Yeah.
Appreciative. We are so very appreciative to all of you.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much. Cheers.
See you next week. Okay, maybe I was pushing my luck. Basically, I burned a hole in it.